So my air conditioner stopped cooling, and so I came out here and noticed that my condenser wasn't running, and came to see this. I don't know if you can see from these pictures, but the dog has definitely severely chewed up these lines and kind of left quite a mess here. So if you've ever had this happen to you before, stick around and we'll show you how to fix this permanently. Okay, so here we are again, and since our last look, I went ahead and got this up and running by just using some wire nuts and connecting it so that the air conditioner would work on the inside. So basically what happens is this is the thermostat wire, and when this becomes unplugged, or I should say chewed through by a dog, it will shut your condenser down, and which then means you don't have anything pulling the hot air out. So it basically starts blowing warmer air on the inside. So I've connected this back up so things would work in the inside until I can get to a permanent fix, which is what I'm doing right now. So first thing you want to make sure you do is to go ahead and turn the breaker off for your AC unit. Once you do that, then there's usually another fuse out here, and it looks kind of like this, and you just want to pull that out, and I just set that right there. So this is low voltage, which is why dogs will chew on it, because it doesn't shock them when they chew through it. But just to be safe, we don't want this thing kicking on and off, the compressor or condenser kicking on and off based on when we touch these wires together. And also, I should say, I am definitely not an electrician, so please take this advice as with that in mind, that do this at your own risk, but I will definitely walk you through exactly what I did to keep this from happening in the future. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is take these, there's 4 bolts here, 1, 2, there's 2 on the back side. I'm going to take those bolts off and then slide this panel out so we can see everything that this is connected to. 8mm socket. We'll speed through the rest of these getting taken off. And here's the culprit that's chewing through the lines. So now we just slide this panel out and slide it down. That exposes all of our wires. And so you can see, here's our thermostat wire. There's a gray and a yellow, and connects to this. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna disconnect all of this, and we're gonna pull our connections into here in this area, and we're gonna basically run some of this new conduit here so that it runs up through here, and then it protects it all the way down into here. And we're gonna fix this. I found some new for insulation here on the Freon lines, so I don't know, we'll see. This is pretty old, it needs to be replaced, so I don't know, we'll try that out and see how it works. So next step is we're going to get the length of this conduit, and we'll cut it so that it's the right size. So you can see here I'm just measuring it by putting it where it's going to go, and then I just mark it here with my thumb. So now we have our red and our white wire. And so what we're gonna do is we're gonna cut this thermostat wire right here. Okay, so now basically with this blade, just want to split the sheathing a little bit to where you can get in here, pull this back. Sometimes you can use this string to, this is what that's here for, to cut that sheathing for you, or insulation, whatever you want to call it. Alright, so that's probably good. Now I want to strip this wire. I think it's 16 gauge. Just need a tiny bit out. I'm going to use these butt splices right here. I got weatherproof. Probably don't need that, but I got them anyway. And what I mean is that probably just could get regular ones, that's fine. So what I like to do is put it in here so I can see how much that insulation right here, I don't want any of that to necessarily be inside this metal. And so what happens is the metal on this side connects to the metal on this side, put your wire in, and then it's all synced up. You crimp this with these crimpers right here. Now, I'll also say I'm not an electrician, so please do this at your own risk, but you know, this is how I do it, again, like I was saying. So I'm gonna go ahead and crimp these. Actually gonna trim them just a tiny bit more so that all of the wire is inside that metal. Okay, let's do the second one. Same process. Okay, make sure they're in there good. They're not going to come out. And so now I just have a spool of this. It's just braided wire. It matches more of the wire that I had. It's coming off the condenser. But I'm just going to strip that. And I'm going to match my reds up. This is my red wire. Okay, and now here's my yellow wire, and I'm going to match on the other side. And I just twist this braided wire up so it's easier to get into the splice. Alright, so now the last thing I do is I just get a little bit of electrical tape. Again, because it's in the conduit, it may not be necessary, but I just like to make sure this doesn't move around the wires. right. Now, okay, so now that we have these wires all connected, what we're going to do is test for length. So we want to make sure we have plenty of length to go up in here, because again, they're going to come up through here, and then we're going to have our wire nuts in this compartment here to connect to these wires. So I'm going to probably cut them off about right. That seems like plenty. So I'm going to cut it about right here. Okay, now we can start to put this wire here through this conduit here, and that'll terminate right there, and the other end will be right up there. So I'm gonna try just keep this together and then just feed it through here. This should work without any issues. Should being the key word. Just want to make sure you keep the conduit as straight as you can, so it has a straight path to go through and you're not curving around. Well, so these wires are starting to bend, it's pulling too far. So that's actually not gonna work. So I'm gonna go and get something else that we can push through there, and then we'll pull this wire through. So that didn't work. So what we're gonna do is, ideally you would use something like fish tape or something that you could push through here that you'd be able to attach the wire to and then pull it back through the other end. So what I have is some garage door sensor wire. So if you need to attach garage door sensors, click here, I'll show you how to do that. But here's some extra wire from that. And so what you do is, it's a little bit more sturdy, so you can put it through here and just kind of start feeding it through and wait for it to come out the other side. See if I can get a shot of the other edge here. Yeah, there it is. Right down there. Kind of see it. Okay, see how it's coming out there? Right there. Right there. Okay. Okay, so now we'll tape these two together like this. Doesn't have to be perfect, just as long as it holds. Okay. Alright, now we pull that back through just like that, and so that wire will start to come with it. So I think you get the idea. This is really difficult to do with one hand. So I'm gonna stop the video. Well, when we come back, I'll have it all connected up through there. So now we have this all the way here. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna pull all this off, because we're gonna we've got some new insulation for this. So we're gonna cut all this away so we can get this moved all the way up to here. For that, I just use a blade here and just pull that, kind of just pull all the old insulation off. Just want to make sure not to cut the thermostat wire that you've got. It's like it's going around, looks like it's going around the back. So okay, so here's my thermostat line. So actually this needs to move all the way over here. So I'm gonna remove all this and then move that over to the other side, and then we'll connect everything. Okay, so there you have the conduit. It's now where I want it to be. It's going along the side, up through here, and the wires have come out through the top. I've pulled these wires up through this hole so that we can now connect this and then make our connections. So what we need to do now is take this nut off, run these wires here up through this hole, and then put this up through here and put the nut back on. So I'm going to do that. So we've got this connected. Make sure that nut is tight, and then I just twisted a couple on this here to really sink it tight. And now what we need to do is make these connections here. So I'm going to cut these wires, strip them, and put wire nuts on them. Now for those wire nuts, I actually got the small waterproof connectors. Again, probably okay to not have waterproof connectors, probably fine, but I just went ahead and, just to be safe, to get waterproof ones. But if you don't have them, I mean, it'll obviously work. There just may, potentially could get some moisture in there. Just want to show you real quick how I do these connections. A lot of people do them different. I put them next to each other just like that. Put the wire nut on and twist. Let's see if I can hold the camera still and do it. So, I've seen some guys will actually twist these together before they put them in there, but I usually don't. Put them in there just like that, and then push them in all the way to the end, and then do the twisting. And you can see that it's already twisting those wires together. So that's one. Here's the other. So line them up just like that. Put in the wire nut, push it all the way to the top, and then twist it until the wires start to twist. You can see a little bit of that silicone coming out. And then just push these back in here, and you should be good to go. And then that takes care of this. So now we can put that shield back on and put those four screws back in. So let's do that real quick. All right, now that's on. There's the new conduit. And so now really the only thing left is, let's clean this up a little, replace this with the new insulation that we got here. So basically how this works is, again, be real careful when you cut this off. You don't want to perforate this pipe here. This is copper, and that's what your Freon lines are in. But basically how this works is it's a circle, but has a split in it. So what we're going to do is split that and then wrap this line up, and then we've got some what is this? HVAC line set tape that will wrap up around it. Okay. So now I got the insulation all on, but now I want to tape it up in the spots where maybe it's not quite sealed all the way. And then I just got my first tape around here at the top. And so now what I'll do is I'll put a cut piece and wrap half of it around the top and half of it around the bottom, and then just tape around it to just hold it in place really nicely. And that is the final product right there. You can see I've got plenty of tape on it to kind of keep that seam sealed, and just got it wrapped up extra around where it comes out of the house. And then there's where that new conduit is. Okay, so now what we need to do is take this fuse and put it back in place. It only goes in one way. Notice it says, you can't really see that, on and off on the fuse. And it says on off right there. So That goes in just like that. And now we'll go turn on the AC and make sure it's blowing cold air. Now we're back inside, and you can see that we are getting cold air coming out of the vents. So we're going to head back outside and make sure the condenser comes on, and you can see it is on. Here's a last look at the insulation and conduit. If you enjoyed this video or it helped, please consider subscribing and liking. Thanks.